What's going on, Dividend Chasers? It's the Dividend Bloodhound here with another investing episode. Now, in today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can pay off your debt as quick as you can. If you like what you see in this video or it brings value, please hit the subscribe button below. If you're new around here, definitely hit that subscribe button if you haven't before. If you're a returning viewer, please hit the like button. That will help my channel out enormously and get my content out to far more people than it already does. That's great, thank you very much. As aforementioned, we are going to talk about how to pay off debt in this video as quick as you possibly can. Now, getting into debt in this country or globally has never been easier. There is so much pressure on people these days, young people as well, to live the glamorous lifestyle, basically, to drive the flash car, to go on the super expensive holiday, to have a massive house. All of these things are just pressure that naturally people just get in debt because they're trying to impress people that really, most people don't really care. Most people don't really care what car you drive, what house you live in, or anything along them lines. So there are multiple debts out there for having the flash phone, the car loan, or anything like that. And it was very, very easy to get weighed down by these debts. And all of a sudden, before you even know it, your salary is struggling to keep up with the amount of debt that you're in. And that is a real problem. So in this video today, we're going to talk about how you can sort of try and pay off these debts as quick as physically or realistically possible. Now, you don't want to compromise your lifestyle by trying to pay off as much debt as you possible, because then that's no life, and we're not really about that. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that live on pasta and beans all the time in a bid to have no debt at all, but that at the same time, in my humble opinion, isn't really a life worth having or worth living, so to speak. That's a bit abrupt, but you get what I'm going down. Now, another question that needs to be asked is, who are you trying to impress? I touched on it a minute ago, but who are you actually trying to impress with? I mean, I understand that a lot of people might be in debt for other reasons, but some of the time it is because people are buying designer handbags or flash cars that they simply can't afford on the salary they have. It's just a question, but ask yourself that. Who are you really trying to impress with these expensive purchases? And then the next thing to do is stop using credit cards to pay for things that you really can't afford. If you do have a credit card, as previously mentioned in one of my other videos based on credit cards, have a direct debit set up so it pays it off each and every month, and then you won't get into debt that way. If you do have a lot of credit card debt, so you've got multiple credit cards with loads of debt on each one, then let's consolidate them. Let's get a loan, approach a bank, approach the Citizens Advice Bureau or something like that, and say that you're in debt and you want to, if it's that bad, you're in debt, you want to clear it, and you're not sure the best way how to. You can get a loan out with the bank that'll be lower interest. Don't go with these payday companies or anything like that. Big, absolute no-go. Do not go to them. They might as well be loan sharks. Go to the bank or go to friendlier financial companies, and they will actually help you out to the point where you can consolidate all of them bad credit cards into one more manageable monthly payment that should be lower interest, and that's definitely what we're aiming for. Now, each month, moving on from this, each month you should try and pay off. It's not going to be a long process, this, especially if you want to keep some sort of lifestyle at the same time. Pay off as much debt as you can each month without compromising your life. Realistically, work out what you can afford to pay each month. And the best way of doing this is through a budget. So work out your incomings and outgoings each month, write them all down, actually scruff it and take charge of your finances. Get hold of it, get a spreadsheet going, get a piece of paper, and physically work out where all your money goes. Get your salary at the top, and then deduct every single one of your debts and direct debits, and work out if you have anything left over. If you don't have anything left over, then that's when you really need to start making better life decisions and saying no to the meals out, or saying no to designer clothes, or anything that can realistically be cut that is considered a luxury at that point. Don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that is something that you're going to have to sacrifice in the short term to get these debts under control. But after doing this, you should be able to come up with a reasonable sum that you can afford to use to start paying off some of these debts. Now, the best way to do this, in my opinion, is to use the snowball method. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either go after the biggest debt with the highest interest, or you can go after the highest interest, or you can go after the smallest debt first and snowball. That it works two ways. You can sort of snowball upwards, or you can sort of snowball downwards, but you sort of building the big ball at the top and then rolling it down. Whereas if you do the other one, where you start with the smallest debt and then you build up and you build up. So let's, for example, just say you've got a £250 credit card bill that you're struggling to pay because you've got so many other outgoings. If that's your smallest one, then that's where you focus. If you've only got £35 spare a month, that's where you focus it on. And after 4 or 5 months, that's paid, that's gone, that's not taking any interest anymore. But that £35 you then roll onto the next biggest debt payment. And then so the process continues. Once you've isolated that one, you've targeted it, you eliminate that one, you go on to the next one, which might be a bit bigger, and then you eliminate that one, and then so on from there. If you go the other way round, with the biggest debt first, your reward will be a little bit longer coming, but you'll get rid of that huge chunk of debt first, and that huge payment, and then very quickly you'll go boom, 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 and you'll be able to get, you'll snowball it, but it'll be so big that you'll just clear the rest of the debt really, really quickly as well. So it depends on the sort of person you are. If you want to see progress immediately, then start at the smallest debt and work upwards. If you want to go for the big fish, then go for the big fish first. The other thing worth considering is the highest interest one. So that might sit there somewhere in the middle, and do it that way instead. Go for the highest interest debt. So if you've got something out on finance for 30% interest, get that smashed first, and then go for the one that's 24, and then go for the one that's 18, and then 10, and then 9, and then them are your reasonable ones from there. I'm just going to take a little peek at my notes again. So, in my opinion, if you don't have one already, it is very, very good to have an emergency cloudy day, rainy day fund. So get a month's expenses or 2 months' expenses. This is more into this is a bit more advanced financial literacy, really. If you're already in debt, then you're probably not going to be able to get this emergency fund sorted. But it's just worth noting, it might be something for you where you squirrel a little bit away before you start paying the debt, if that's possible. Just so if an emergency comes up or a big purchase comes up that's not expected, you can just get that and continue with the process of smashing down your debts, which is what we're all about, and all that creates momentum in clearing your debt. Once you start the process, you'll very quickly get into it, and you'll get the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. Then all of a sudden, you'll find that you're clear of debt. That's it, and then that is exactly the best time. Then is to get, as I mentioned, get that emergency fund going, get that saved up, and then the rest of your money, it's yours then. I would definitely treat yourself. I'm not saying throw all your money up the wall, but treat yourself. You should reward yourself. You've paid off all your debt. Don't get massively in debt again, but you deserve a reward for doing all the hard work that you've done. Get that emergency fund in place first, and then have a little treat for yourself and target your lifestyle and enjoy life. That's what we're all here for at the end of the day. Next up is you want to get your emergency fund in place. I keep saying that, I really need to stop. after that, you can start investing your money or start saving your money towards a house deposit or something like that. Your money's then yours then to do whatever you want with, and who am I to say whatever you do, whatever you want with it. Yeah, I've already mentioned budgeting. Budgeting is a big thing, and especially when you start getting some spare money at the end of the month, that is a really good feeling when you can see that and you've got no debts and it's just money that goes straight into your investment account or straight into your savings account. That is great. Next thing I would quickly like to talk about is if you have an unexpected windfall and you're in debt, don't spend the money on something ridiculous. Use the money to pay down the debt. That is the most sensible option. Might not be the most fun option, I'll grant you, but that is the most sensible option. Then you can have the fun as soon as you've cleared the debt. If you just get that windfall and you throw it all straight back out the window because you've gone on a holiday or something like that, that's not really good. That doesn't really make good financial sense. Another thing I'd like to mention and target is get yourself a little side hustle going. If you are in debt and your salary is struggling to keep up with it, try and find a little side hustle that you could start that might earn you a little bit extra money. It's not all about the, you want something that's going to pay you a reward straight away. So setting up a YouTube channel is probably out, and so is doing drop shipping or something along them lines, because they require some sort of investment. But you could definitely start up a little eBay store and start selling stuff that's lying around your house, lying around your apartment that you don't use anymore. Everybody's got those things that sit in the wardrobe and you go, I'll wear that, and then you never do. And then 2 years later, you're in the same process. You come to a clear rate and you're like, nah. I'm not saying just bin it or anything like that. I'm saying you could probably get some value out of it instead of just binning it, especially with like old electrical items or designer clothes. That is quite a big one. And at that point, really, that will get you some extra money that you can use to pay down your debt. If you've got another one, would just be dog walking. Earn some extra money that way to clear down your debt. Now, some people get so good when they set up their side hustle, they earn so much money out of it. It actually ultimately starts to, you can continue it once you're out your debt, and it actually starts to be better or mean more to them than a 9-to-5 job. That is really good. You then set up your own businesses that pays your expenses, pays for your lifestyle, and it's all done by you. And that is a really, really good entrepreneurial way of thinking, and something that a lot of people would be very envious of. And then finally, what I'd just like to say, and I did touch on it earlier, is don't sacrifice your lifestyle completely to get out of debt. I did touch on it at the start of the video. Don't live on beans on toast for a month just so you can pay that extra 50 quid off your debts. Like, come up with a little balance. That's what it's all about. It is all about balance and finding a way that, yes, you still need to clear your debts as long as your salary does at least cover all your debts. If your salary doesn't cover your debts, then maybe you might want to consider living on beans on toast for a little bit just to get that balance back. But if you've got a little bit of spare money left over, it's always good to actually live your life and have a few treats. Just make sure that you do manage to pay off some debt in that month as well, because otherwise you're just sacrificing your lifestyle, and there is some sacrifice to be made. But in my opinion, and that is just my opinion, anyway, I'm not a financial advisor or a debt advisor or anything like that. This video is just purely for a little bit of a little tip, a little bit of entertainment, and what I would do in my opinion. But please don't take that as financial advice. It's never been. It is all about lifestyle. It is hard to have the massive house, the flash car, the ridiculous holiday, the huge investing portfolio, the designer outfits, huge savings in the bank, all of these things, going out for great food, Michelin-starred food all the time. There's a balance to be had there. There aren't many people out there that can afford to do every single one of them. But what I would just say in my closing remarks here is basically just remember, when you see other people's things on Instagram or whatever, you're seeing the highlights of their life. You're not seeing the sacrifice that they've made to get there or to have that meal. What they forewent or forego that month, so they could go and do that really expensive thing, or if they got into debt to do it. And don't compare yourself to other people. Just live your life. Live a life of balance. Treat yourself when you can afford it, but also be realistic in what you can afford and what you can't do. Don't get in. I'll finish with, don't get in debt to impress others. And it's as simple as that. I'll leave it there. One last little final message. If this video has brought value to you, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. And I will see you again in the very next video. That is the Dividend Bloodhound out for this episode. Goodbye.